What's up, dudes? Welcome to another edition of Late Pizza. I'm your host, Steve-O. I got to go see The Batman 2022 at the IMAX Fans First film event last night, and I've got some things to say, so without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, from a screenplay by Reeves and Peter Craig, stars Robert Pattinson as Batman and Bruce Wayne, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Set in his second year as Batman, attempting to take down corruption in Gotham City while being tormented by a mysterious serial killer known as the Riddler, this movie takes a look at a more unrefined Batman. He's looser, he's still learning, he hasn't quite figured out his methods yet. I'm not going to get into spoilers for the first part of this video. I'm going to just contain it to the overall themes and stylings of the film itself, and then I will clearly mark when I'm going to talk spoiler details and plot details. So if you want to stop the video there, that's fine. If you're more one of the people that is here for the spoilers, by all means scrub through, get to where I'm getting to the good stuff. But without further ado, just my overall thoughts on the movie. Great. It's right at 3 hours. There are some pacing issues. It feels a little stretched towards the end, but you are enthralled by what you're seeing on the screen the entire time. The cinematography of this movie is beautiful, which was never in question. Matt Reeves, as a director, has got a great track record. His two Planet of the Apes movies are fantastic to watch. Fantastic sound, script, editing. All of that is on full display here. You're watching a master filmmaker tell you a story through visual and audio media. The cast is fantastic. Bruce Wayne is not in the film so much, so I would say 80% of Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman is him in the Batsuit. And when he is in that Batsuit, you don't see anybody but Batman on the screen. All of the supporting cast are fantastic. Word is already doing the rounds that Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, is being looked at as just a career best performance from Colin Farrell. He really transforms into that character. One of the smaller roles going into this, I knew that John Turturro was in the film. He's playing Carmine Falcone, a mob boss, and he fits that character better than I ever thought he could. He was a big surprise in this movie for me. Great performance by him. The tone of this movie is very neo-noir detective police story. It is not big over the top superhero universe. This is a grim and gritty Batman who is punching criminals in the face and trying to fix a broken city. Speaking of the city, Gotham itself in the film is pretty much an additional side character. The version of Gotham in this film is probably my favorite version that we've seen on the big screen. It's got everything you would expect in a big modern day metropolis like New York or Chicago. It's got the big, Times Square area where there's all these giant view screens playing advertisements and selling you things. But just under that, at the street level, which they show you in the same frame, there's mountains of garbage, and there's homeless people, living in shanty towns, and there's garbage and blood in the gutters, and there's just abandoned cars and burning barrel fires. It's really a city that is trying to build a new identity and cover up this underworld that nobody wants to see, and it's not accomplishing it. It's just this weird neon gothic mix of just dirty grittiness that I really dug. It's really there are a lot of frames in this where you're like, that looks like a Batman panel, looks like a comic book. For me personally, this is one of the first times where the bulk of the movie I was like, this is the Batman that you're reading. When you read Batman Year 1, when you read Batman Year 2, when you read The Long Halloween, he is this brute force when he needs to be, but he is also able to pull back and collect evidence and follow case files and track down who he's looking for. And that's something that has been missing big time from the world's greatest detective on film. A lot of people are going to compare this to the Nolan trilogy of movies just because it is like I said, more down to earth, but it's definitely much more in the comic book realm, I think, than the Nolan films. This, like I said before, feels like a Batman from the books, where like, yeah, they're mob bosses and stuff, but you see the Penguin is scarred up in kind of an unnatural. He's very over the top character. This is definitely a series where I could see, as we watch Robert Pattinson's Batman grow and evolve, them maybe bringing in some of the more fantastical elements. Andy Serkis as Alfred, fantastic job, great Alfred. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, the relationship that him and Batman have is spot on, perfect. Uh, Already mentioned Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Zoe Kravitz in this movie as Catwoman blew me away. She was fantastic. I think maybe she just edges out Michelle Pfeiffer for me as my favorite on-screen Catwoman. She brought a lot to the role, and I was very impressed. That is about all I can say without getting into spoiler territory. My overall score for the film, I definitely give this a 9 out of 10. It's right up there. The only thing holding it back, I think, are some pacing issues. It's kind of a Return of the King situation. There are a few different endpoints that they could have went with, and they just said, "Here, have all of them," which didn't bother me at all. I was right there for every step of the journey, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. Moving on from there, I'm going to put a little break in the video. We're going to jump right back in with spoilers. So if you want to know plot details, character arcs, Easter eggs, every grim and gritty detail, stay right where you are. We'll be right back with that. All right, if you're still here, you saw the warning, you know what time it is, you know what we're getting into. It's a little bit of spoiler talk. We're going to get into every detail of the movie that jumps out to me in the moment. So if you don't want to hear any of that, what are you doing? Get out of here. Click on something else. Go watch a cat compilation. Spoiler talk for Batman starts right now. The plot of this movie, the overarching story that you get for the first about 2.5 hours is a new I'm gonna call him a domestic terrorist. They call him a serial killer in the promotional materials and things like that. But his plot, as it goes along, is a lot bigger than just your standard serial killer. This guy has popped up named the Riddler. He's killed the mayor. He's killed the police commissioner. He's leaving viral videos saying, I'm going to expose the corruption of this city and I'm going to bring all of this darkness into the light so everybody knows exactly what you're getting up to, down there in City Hall. The Batman, at this point, has been active in Gotham for 2 years. He's got a working relationship with Commissioner Gordon, and Batman is named specifically in these cases. There are these letters and riddles left for the Batman, so Commissioner Gordon brings him in, and the other police officers don't like this. Corrupt cops, clean cops, all of them are kind of like, what are you doing? This guy is a vigilante. He shouldn't have access to these files. He shouldn't have access to these crime scenes. So there's a lot of conflict between Commissioner Gordon and the GCPD, who don't think this guy, he's a loose cannon. What are you thinking bringing him in? Batman's relationship with Commissioner Gordon in this movie, spot on. They have a back and forth. They don't know each other, but they trust each other. They both understand they're on the same mission. Jim Gordon is still a lieutenant, I believe, is what they call him in this movie, if not just still a street level officer. And he is trusting of Batman because he wants to get down to, what is this guy after? Why is he targeting these people specifically? Every time the Riddler kills somebody, as soon as the death is announced, a video is uploaded or a montage of photos is sent out. The first time it happens, the mayor is killed in his own home. He's discovered by his orphan son now, or well, I guess his mother's still alive. But he's discovered by his young son, dead in the family house. And as soon as the body is found, pretty much, and Gordon looks at this cipher on the computer, a file is uploaded and sent out to the Gotham Gazette, the Gotham Times, all the major publications and news outlets of all of these photographs of the mayor out and about on the city with other women, going in and out of the Penguins nightclub, which is a known hive for criminal activity and organized crime. So it's not just that he's killing these people, he's exposing this corruption that is rotting away the underside of Gotham City. All of the relationships in this movie were pretty great. There is I wouldn't say forced attraction between Batman and Catwoman, but it's kind of, this is the very beginning of them knowing each other. They meet for the first time, they bump into each other a few times. So the chemistry between them is spot on, but it does seem like they rushed into a relationship almost right away. Batman's relationship with Alfred, I'm going to keep calling him Batman because Bruce Wayne really doesn't exist in this movie. At this point in his life, you can tell that Bruce is the fake persona that he has to put on, and Batman is who he really is. That's where he shows his emotion and his depth, and he's really comfortable, I guess. He's more comfortable in the cape and cowl than he is, and you see that a few times when he's pushed out into his Bruce Wayne public persona, and he's got to, comb his hair and shave, and he's got to put a suit on. He looks uncomfortable. He looks like a new celebrity who doesn't know how to deal with the fame. He doesn't want all of these people asking him for donations and, will you back up my bid for mayor? And he doesn't want any of that. He just wants to go back to the Batcave, jump behind the wheel of the Batmobile, and go beat up some criminals. His relationship with Alfred is almost confrontational. Alfred doesn't like what he's doing. He thinks that this is a bad path that he's on, and he blames himself for that because he's Bruce's guardian for the last however many years since his parents died. I really liked Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth. I thought he brought a lot to the role. Very intense performance from him. And you can really feel that father-son sort of level of love that Alfred has for Bruce. And it's almost, at this point in the movie, Bruce doesn't want that. He's like, I don't need you to protect me. I need to go out here and throw myself into this because that's what I believe in right now. And as the film wraps up, he kind of realizes maybe that's not the path that Batman needs to take. Maybe the city needs a different kind of hero. All of the main criminal villain elements in the movie are fantastic. Paul Dano as the Riddler turns in a great performance as just this crazy Zodiac 7 style serial killer that, he leaves riddles at the scene of the crime. He records these crazy, very Heath Ledger Joker-esque, shaky camera, he's screaming at you kind of videos to get his point across. I loved all of that. The Cypher, the Commissioner Gordon, Batman, and even Alfred a little bit helping in to break down these codes and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together to figure out who the next victim is or what the next thing that he's going to reveal to the city is in an attempt to kind of break this society down because he thinks it's rotten and we need to burn it to the ground and start over. Catwoman, great. Riddler, great. Gordon, great. I mentioned in the non-spoiler review, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone as an excellent performance. He is just chilling in how he's a very sophisticated, gentleman like mob boss, but he can get down and dirty when he needs to. And the menace in his voice and his attitude and his presence is just off the charts in this movie. A lot of people are talking about Penguin. I really liked Penguin. Penguin was great, but for me, Carmine Falcone was the standout villain performance in this, which is probably going to be a little unexpected. I think most people are going to swing either Penguin or Riddler, but for me, that realistic mob boy, like, this is just a regular guy, and this is how evil a regular guy can be, and I find that a little more chilling, I guess. Falcone, Penguin, it is a great performance. You can tell that Colin Farrell, well, first of all, you can't tell that it's Colin Farrell at all. It's a completely different voice, the way he carries himself, his facial expressions. He is Oswald Cobblepot in every sense of the word. And it's a very, it's not an over-the-top Danny DeVito, he's not eating fish and wah, wah, wah. He's not a cartoon villain. He's just this guy. I don't think they even really refer to him too many times as the Penguin. He's Oswald Cobblepot. He runs the Iceberg Lounge. And just a great performance from him as well. The soundscapes, the sound design, the score of this movie, all the way through is phenomenal. There is a scene where he starts the Batmobile up for the first time, sitting in the shadows, and you just see the Penguin look over, and the engine rumble in the IMAX, it made the seats move. It felt like you were standing next to just this dragon of a machine, this absolute beast. And the Batmobile is is pretty fantastic in this movie. I really liked it. A lot of people are kind of seem to be against the stripped down, muscle car, but it's heavily modified. There's definitely not a street legal engine like that in any car that I've ever seen. And again, it's year 2, and he's built this himself. He didn't go to Wayne Enterprises and find a battle tank hidden in plastic wrap in the basement. He pulled cars apart and he rebuilt manifolds and exhausts, and he put together this absolute monster of a car. So there's a pretty standout chase sequence with the Batmobile and the Penguin. Fantastic car stunts and action. Really liked that. The character of Batman in this movie is the Batman that you want from the animated series, from the comic books. He doesn't use guns. He doesn't kill. Those are his 2 rules, and he sticks to them, and he enforces them to other people when they're in his company. He's like, we don't do that. That's not our way. That doesn't make you any better than they are. So I really liked that aspect. The third act does start to feel stretched. It feels like they could have ended it. The Riddler, they put the clues together, of course. The Riddler gets caught before he can kill his final target, who is Bruce Wayne, and they set that up in such a way that you think that the Riddler does know who Batman is, but it turns out at the last second that he doesn't. He's under the impression that the Batman and the Riddler have been working together. He's been leaving these notes for Batman as kind of like, congratulations, look at us, we're doing this. Like, you're helping me with your fear, and so he doesn't understand, and he truly is a psychopath. He's lost touch with reality, and he thinks that he's on this God-given mission. He has this social media following, which I know some people are going to be like, oh, you got to bring politics into it. That's the nature of comic book heroes. It has been since the beginning of time. You're just going to have to move past that. He basically starts this online following, a militia, if you will, that carry out his orders after he gets caught, and they blow up the seawall surrounding downtown Gotham, and they flood the entire city. This is in the third act. There's no fixing that. That's permanent damage. There are people, thousands of people drowning, trapped in cars, stuck on the roofs of buildings. And that is the moment when Batman realizes that fear is not everything that he needs to be for this city. He needs to be hope too. He needs to be this shining light of, we can rise above this, we can rebuild, we can be better. You get a great series of shots of Batman person to person pulling people out of the water, leading them with a flare through the flooded stadium. Fantastic stuff. A hero. He realizes at the end, he's like, I don't need to be vengeance. I need to be a hero, and I need to step up for this city. The big rumors flying around, of course, is Joker in this movie, is that actor, I can't remember his name, I want to say it's like Barry Cohagen, something like that. Is he playing the Joker? Is he just some police detective? Does the Joker show up at all? Yes, he does. Towards the end of the movie, the Riddler is in the cell. He's, distraught that his plan hasn't quite worked out the way he thought it was. And a voice speaks to him from the cell next door and says, look at all the good that you did in their crazy eyes. You look at all of this chaos that you've caused and all of this corruption that you've stirred up to the top of the pot. You didn't fail. You did a fantastic thing. And he gives him a riddle and is like, what's worth more the less you have of it? A friend. And then they both just cackle with madness together. You don't get to see the Joker, really. He's behind a cell door. He's in the shadows. You can see that he's got kind of spiked up hair. There's something wrong with his face. I don't know if it's burns or scarring. It almost looked like maybe he just didn't have lips, like his teeth were just exposed. But he definitely is deformed in some way. But you don't get to see him, a full shot of him. Obviously, they're going to save that for down the road. Vocally, I thought he sounded great. I loved the laugh. I loved his whole. As soon as he started talking, you know who that is. You get the pitch of the voice and the tone, and you understand that, like, oh, that's the Joker. Here he comes. Yeah, for me, like I said in the non-spoiler review, 9 out of 10. This is the Batman movie that I've been waiting for what feels like forever, and not quite. Like, again, I keep reiterating this. This is a year 2 Batman. He's still learning and building, and he's not perfect yet. He takes on 10 guys at once, and yeah, he's going to win that fight, but he's going to take a couple of punches and a couple of gunshots. And he gets roughed up, and he doesn't know quite how to do everything yet, but he's on the way. And I can see this following a similar trajectory to the recent Spider-Man trilogy. I'm not going to get into spoilers for that in case anybody hasn't seen the newest one. But towards the end of that movie, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He's the hero that you've been waiting to see on the big screen. And I feel like they're going to take a very similar trajectory with these Batman movies. They're going to, here's Batman starting out. Here he is gaining some experience. And then third or fourth, maybe even fifth movie in the series, because they seem to be laying the groundwork for a big franchise. I see Robert Pattinson will eventually be the definitive Batman. He's going to be the guy in the suit with the cool car, with all of the gadgets, with the tricked out cave. You can see them laying the groundwork for him to adapt those things and improve those things down the road to eventually give you exactly what we're going to look for. So for me, the first movie in this franchise, the first time seeing this version of this world, this version of these characters, absolutely 9 out of 10. I can't wait till the home release. I'm going to watch this thing a million times. I'm a pretty big Batman fan. Got the shirt on, had a shirt and a hoodie on last night. Got a decent collection of physical media, a few key graphic novels. It's not a character that I'm unfamiliar with. There were a lot of references and Easter eggs to little things kind of scattered throughout. I'm sure that I won't remember half of them, but a few of the big ones that stick out to me. Batman and Commissioner Gordon have the Penguin in sort of this abandoned industrial zone. They're interrogating him, and they've got him zip-tied, his hands and his feet, so he's just propped up against this cement pillar while they're interrogating him and getting this information. And they leave him there, and he's like, hey, you can't leave me here like this, you gotta untie me. And as they're driving away, he waddles after them like a penguin. I thought that was hilarious. There is a propaganda video that the Riddler plays on the news stations, that's just flashing different things about Thomas and Martha Wayne and corruption of the city. The word hush flashes up in giant letters and stays on the screen for a few seconds. Obvious reference to the comic book villain from the graphic novel of the same name. Towards the end, Catwoman, she's not going to stay in Gotham. The city is flooded. Downtown is destroyed. There's this whole, they're going to have to start rebuilding and reestablishing the city, basically. So she says she's going to leave. And mentions that she might check out Bloodhaven, which anybody that knows the comics knows that is the city where eventually Nightwing goes and kind of sets up camp to do his own vigilante thing. And then, of course, the Joker at the end being the biggest little, I guess, fan service moment for the fans. I'm sure there are a ton of Easter eggs in this movie that I haven't mentioned, or I just can't remember, or I just didn't notice because I was paying attention to. Your eyes are locked on the screen that whole 3 hours. You want to see everything that's happening in this world. And I'm very excited for the spinoffs that they've got coming up. I believe there is a series that is going to follow the GCPD in year one. So it's going to be set before this and kind of establishing that relationship that Gordon and Batman have, or just, this guy showing up for the first time and how does the city react to that. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the... I believe there's another spin-off series that they've announced for HBO Max that's going to be somewhat centered around Arkham Asylum. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, anything that they've got planned for this moving forward, I'm 100% in to this world. This is fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they've got next. That is going to do it for this Batman 2022 film review. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you go check out the movie. I hope if you didn't want to be spoiled that you didn't stick around this whole time, because I ruined quite a few big things for you. But yeah, definitely check it out. Go see it 2 or 3 times. Who cares? It's fantastic. I can't wait to see it again. You guys have a great day, and as always, thanks for taking the time. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, leave a comment, tell your friends about it, all that good stuff. Get those viewer numbers up. That is going to do it for me. I've been your host, Steve-O. Have a good one.
And I couldn't find a place.
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.